will not say that we are precisely in the recession. The recession is the negative growth has not started. Only thing is temporarily we have a dwarf in our thing. I mean, we have not been doing the way we have been doing. There is a dwarf impact has taken place because of the COVID-19. And one important factor we have to understand very clearly is that any economy which is purely depending on the consumption based, it has a possibility of V-shaped recovery, because you are not going to stop eating tomorrow and you are not going to stop consuming all the things. Yes, there will be a retarded way of accepting it in the beginning. Today, tomorrow I may postpone my decision of buying a car, but I will never stop buying a car. And today, if you look at it, this new normal will definitely make the people who are the two-wheeler to go for a low-end car. I'm just giving an example for understanding this. So this is going to change the habit, as rightly said by others. But this habit change, whether it is going to stop the consumption, no. The consumption, see, looking at some of the press reports, it says that good rabi crop, even the RBI governor said this yesterday, rural and semi-urban demand is increasing for growth. That's what Mr. Rahul Bajaj said in his results. He said we see some demand, and in fact there was a lot of online second-hand car sales. They are getting a lot of hits, more than what they have been getting it earlier. So these things, if you take it on the face value of it, it is not going to put us off. It is definitely going to delay the way we have been doing it. Maybe this is temporarily reprieve to the entire industry of moratorium of 3 + 3 months, which is nothing. See, nobody said that you have to pay back on the 7th month. They said that you have an option to get it extended. The tenor of the loan is going to get extended, except for working capital, where it is again being converted to FDL. So FDL. So the people who have been providing these kind of things are very clear about the fact there is a temporary retardation as far as this growth is concerned, and which will cover up and grow further. In my view is that looking at the impact on the balance sheets of almost everybody, if every individual makes a balance sheet, there may be an impact in Q2, because the June is where we will be just coming out of it, and that is the time that we will be stepping out. So there may be an impact. The impact may peak in Q2. It will start taper away or taper off in the month of December, and it may reach the normalcy in the Q4. Thereafter, it is a question of increasing it thereafter. This is what I have a general take. Yes, of course, it has to unfold, and there cannot be some other repeat, or Wuhan says that it is a second wave, and hope that there is no such wave. It stops with a single wave. The tsunami comes and goes off, we don't have tsunami again. Let it be as a tsunami, no other further wave. With that, I feel that optimistic about it because of the consumption nature of our country.
I would not like to repeat, all those things which we have referred to in detail. Yeah. Whatever is already covered, for fear of repetition, I don't want to dwell on that, again. I would only confine myself to what would be the life post-COVID. The basic issue is that particular stage of post-COVID has not reached yet. We are still in the pre-COVID stage. Post-COVID stage will come about when a vaccine is found, when it is tested, and when it is commercially manufactured. And as Subramaniam and others have mentioned, it is a time-consuming process, anywhere between 12 months to 18 months minimum, or if we are not that lucky, it may take a couple of years more. In the meantime, what needs to be done is continue testing, find out who are infected, do the contact tracing, offer excellent medical treatment facilities, have effective quarantine and all that, and try and control things to the extent possible. Coming back to the business per se, we have explained in detail how do we restart the business as far as MSMEs are concerned, assess the damage, find out what is the liquidity gap, make use of the various schemes that have been announced, etc., etc. And we have also discussed in brief what are the survival strategies by the MSMEs and I do not want to go into those again. But I have something else to say. One is the post-COVID, or even now for that matter, we are going to see a new normal. As Mr. Subramaniam rightly pointed out, we are going to see a new normal. New normal, somebody referred to as a low-touch economy. It is referred to as low-touch economy, where touching people, coming nearer to people, the touch points will get minimized, and therefore we call it as a low-touch, economy, and it will remain for the next few years to come. It's not going to end in the next, 3 or 6 months time. Social distancing will become the way of life. Social distancing will become the way of life. People will be now highly conscious about, hygiene precautions and practices. Travel restrictions will remain. Self-imposed travel restrictions from, health considerations point of view will remain. Large gatherings for various purposes, marriages, deaths, partying, political, gatherings, religious gatherings, you name it, will become, restricted. Customer, spending preferences will change. People face a lot of uncertainties with regard to jobs, with regard to, income levels, etc., not only in India, the world over. And therefore, the consumer spending, individual spending will be centered around essentials. All discretionary spending, which we can think of, will get postponed, and people will try to conserve cash for the future days. As the saying goes, cash is the king. And we will all prefer, not only individuals, businesses will also prefer to stay liquid. This would be the, post-liquid scenario that I foresee, what is going to get rolled out in the days and months to come.
I think we are going to see a lot of change in the global field. See, as we pointed out by all of us, the entire the demand, the people preferences, they are going to change. And now most of the economies are going into a recession. I think that would also, to some extent, answer your previous question. Mr. Kumar was not there.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back.
Kindly proceed. He's back.
Anyway,
He's back.
so we
I think I lost
that
phase.
We are entering into that phase. Recession, the global trade again. So the global trade now, especially with a country like China, which was the main manufacturing base, where it is going to shift. The manufacturing facility, they already started that process. America has taken so many, US has taken a lot of steps. I think that is happening. Even the Europe, I think with this COVID situation, they are having a relook at the entire things. So the entire concept of, and especially with the change in the habit, the change in the lifestyle. See the example of oil now. One of the lowest rates we are witnessing. The demand
because of WTI, Texas has seen negative also. Negative.
Yeah. So the power rates for negative. I think was a historical. Yeah. So these entire things are going to change. The very concept of trade. The oil was the one which was making or destroying the nations. Any increase in oil price could play havoc with the economy of a country. These all things are going to change. The travel things, as pointed out Mr. Kamath, the travel habits, people who will be traveling much less. So the entire sectors, the tourism, many countries who are depending on tourism, how are they economically going to survive? So when they are in trouble, what they are importing from, say, the third world countries, the entire trade balance would become different. And the same thing happen here. We are producing let's say for exporting to a particular countries or a group of countries. But there is no demand out there. whom do we produce for? I think we are going to see a lot of change. We cannot today crystallize like what products would be more in demand, or which countries would be exporting, or what we would be importing much more, whether it's healthcare or whatever it is. But this is going to have a totally new scenario. So I think that is the very reason the concept of Atmanirbhar India has come into picture. I think our Prime Minister, realized that much earlier. This is going to be a change scenario. That's what we have introduced. Let us be not depend on other countries. Let us be self-reliant. Practically, it may not be possible that we are totally self-reliant in the sense that we produce everything. Because the economies are there, so many things have to be seen.
Atmanirbhar is a self-reliant movement. It is nothing but a self-reliance movement, according to me, while details are yet to come out. We have in the past seen Make in India program, in which also we wanted to make India a manufacturing hub. And keeping that in mind, a lot of reforms were introduced to achieve the objectives set under the Make in India movement. Like increasing the manufacturing segment's contribution to a growth to 13 to 15%, increasing their contribution to GDP to 25%, and to create millions of job opportunities. That is, according to me, work half done, still work in progress. Now, in the meantime, we have now come across a self-reliance program. While it has got some connotations of what is called as the localization of the industries, etc. According to me, the local brands, converting them into global brands, and their coexistence with the global brands should be the way forward. It is not that we should turn protectionists hereafter. That's not the intention of the government either, according to me. What is important is give more importance, more fillip to the homegrown companies, the homegrown products. Now, this objective can be achieved only if our local products are of international quality, the price is competitive, and the availability is in abundance. Now, these three must be the criteria to achieve the self-reliance program. You also referred to China. We all agree that there is a huge credibility issue with China now, based on what they did or what they did not do with regard to the onset of this coronavirus. There is a feeling that not enough disclosures were made by them, and therefore the rest of the world was taken by surprise. Or when we were not thoroughly prepared, or as Subramanian mentioned, we were underprepared. And this has got now a pandemic kind of proportions. China is undoubtedly the number one manufacturing base of large MNCs the world over. Today there is a movement out of China. The larger issue is, are we prepared to be in a substitute? Can we offer our place for the industries, for the manufacturing units moving out of China? The answer is yes. India has got great skill sets. The labor in India is relatively cheaper when compared to other countries. But this Atmanirbhar program should not remain only a slogan. These units will come into India only if they find India an attractive investment destination. And to make it an attractive investment destination, the government of India and those who are responsible for this to roll out large number of reforms. First and foremost is on the foreign direct investment. You must bring a lot of proposals under the automatic approval scheme. According to me, that is something which must be done to attract, hassle-free foreign direct investment, into our country. The second most important reform is on the labor front. Today, if you have to fire a labor in times of shocks like this, for an industrial unit which is governed by the Industrial Dispute Act, they will have to run from pillar to post for approvals, without which it is impossible to fire anybody in the country. The third important reform that the country has to launch is on the land acquisition front. We all know what happened to, I'm not going to take names, what happened to the MNC which wanted to set up a unit in the state of Orissa. So therefore, the land acquisition without compromising the interest of farmers, etc., must be made relatively easier. The fourth reform is on tax laws. We have all heard of the catchy word of tax terrorism, etc. While I don't subscribe to those things, the tax laws should be simple, should be able to be followed, complied with relative ease. Fifth one is the power outages. Power outages in our country are outrageous proportions. We should be able to ensure that power availability, connectivity in adequate quantity, is made available. This is one thing that we must, establish. The next and the last important thing, according to me, is the stability of our own policies. What is announced today as a policy, tomorrow it should not be changed. And therefore, if we want to attract investments into the country, if you want to attract, units likely to move out of China to India, you must have policy stability. So these are some of the reforms which we must introduce to make India a very, attractive investment destination. Otherwise, units will go to countries like Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, or Taiwan, etc. We have vast potential to be one of the leading, manufacturing, hubs in terms of education, in terms of skill sets, in terms of, offering a vast domestic market. We are only to take correct steps to, make it happen. Otherwise, this will remain only as a slogan, only on paper. According to me, this is what needs to be done to achieve the objective of making India a manufacturing hub.